briefly mentioned the playoffs at Leeds. What's it like, a double header of that magnitude against the club that you support?
Yeah, I think everywhere Leeds go, it's a big deal. It's a lot about their supporters and we'll sell out, but kind of a bit like when I've been at other big clubs, like when it's going great, they're great and they're a real powerful force. When it's not, even so much, I'll go back to the last day of last season. We literally got promoted with Bradford in the last 30 seconds of the last minute of the last game. So, and I was on the bench. I came on literally after we scored, but I remember warming up down the corner of the pitch. And I'm not saying all the supporters were like this, but it was such an eerie atmosphere because we hit the post, we'd hit the bar, the keeper had made some saves, and we should have beat Fleetwood 3 or 4 nil on the day, and it just wouldn't go in, and we missed a sitter just before Sarcevic missed a sitter that he would normally score, and you're like, oh my god, it's not going to be our day, um, and then yeah, I remember warming up down by the corner flag, and it was the anniversary for the 56 that died in the fire at
Yeah.
Valley Parade, and once you play for the club, you're made aware that it's a big deal really, and they have an anniversary for it, and it's spoken about a lot, and the local chaplain comes in and talks about and shows you a video about it, so you're well aware of the kind of importance, and the anniversary fell on the last, and everyone was like, it's meant to be, it's meant to be, this Fleetwood game, the last home game, and it was 0-0 going 95 minutes, and some of the fans in the corner were shouting, you can't even, well, I won't say the swear words, but you can't even do it for the 56 and all this, and slating the team. And then literally 30 seconds later, they're on the pitch hugging you. Your best thing since sliced bread. So it's like, well, you weren't just saying that a minute ago, like down the corner flag. So I'm not saying all of them were like that, but yeah, when it's good, when it's going well, it's great, and you're the world's best player. And when things aren't, you're not. So yeah, it can be powerful, and it can be a hindrance, at times. But yeah, all good experiences. I was still 19. I was still very much a young lad. I remember going to Wembley. That was my first time. We played Doncaster. We lost it on a set play, really. And I remember in the build up being a bit distracted, like just with tickets and about people messaging, even the semi-finals with friends and people who wouldn't normally message, and pestering you, and got a bit. Not that because I was happy with how I played in the semi-finals personally, and in the finals, really happy with my own performance. I felt as though I couldn't have done any more, but I just found myself a little bit distracted, and the build up and the TV and the fans, and so I just made sure in the next couple of times I went that I was a lot more focused, and I would say the next couple of times I went, certainly with Preston and Carlisle, that I was a lot more ready for just to go and make sure we won, like, because it's a place for winners. It's not, I know with Leeds that time that it's not a place to lose. It's the winners get remembered and the losers are just sort of forgotten, and it's the worst summer ever. So, and it's the best summer if it goes your way. And I just remember being so much more focused when I went back, and you go there a few days before and you take in the surroundings, but having been there before and even winning with Preston, managed to score. We won 4-0. And they, in the build up to their final, all we heard in the press, and all the fans, was all week they've had 10 playoffs, Preston, and lost every one. And it was like, right, so I don't know if that was finals or semis, but the playoff record was like 10 losses, and it was like, right, and anyway, we sort of changed that, and said, no, we'll show you that we'll be the one that'll change that, and we were. So I think just. And I remember going round with Carlisle the day before and looking round, and even more so than looking at the pitch. And I was there with Joe Garner. Obviously, Garnes was on the same team in that Preston team, and we were just sort of looking up at the the box, the royal box, and where you lift the trophy, and obviously you think back to those times where 2015, where you've been up there, you've lifted that. Well, it was different trophies, League One, but and you're just picturing yourself doing it, and literally 28 hours later or 30 hours later, whatever it was, we were back up there and walking up them steps, and yeah, fantastic memories, and just a bit disappointing. Like you'll know yourself, Andy, just how quickly the sort of obviously with the playoffs, it's you get your hour to celebrate with your family and the supporters on the pitch and around the pitch, but you quickly get kind of like, right, come on, right, we've got to prepare the pitch, get off the pitch, we've got another game tomorrow, and like this, the Wembley staff are like pushing you out, and you're like, hang on a minute, like I just want to soak it in, and I've got a picture with I think Jeff Half took it actually. I've got a picture like sat on the floor, my boots are like on the side, and it says like please keep off the grass. And I've got like I don't know if I think I've got the trophy next to me, and I've got like medal around my neck, and I'm just like giving a thumbs up. Just like I've still got it on my phone now. Maybe I have to send you it. But just trying to soak it in, and everyone shot up to the Bobby Moore lounge.
Yeah.
And I was like, just taking my time, like just sitting there and just in the changing room. And it felt like there was only a couple of us left. And I'm like, still in my kit. I'm like, what's the rush? Like, and my wife's texting me saying, where you at? Everyone's up here. And I'm like, I'm coming, I'm coming. And then you do the press, the mixer. And it's like just being captain. And it just took a long time. But yeah, you just feel as though then we had that celebration at the Hilton in Watford with all of our family and friends, closest people to us, and it just goes like that. And I just remember being absolutely shattered and thinking like we're gonna have a great night. And I mean I didn't sleep a wink, but I just felt that tired. It was that hot a day and 120 odd minutes and that bigger pitch and just felt drained, and I ended up going to bed about like midnight, and really you should be staying up all night, shouldn't you? But maybe a sign of my age, or but yeah, brilliant times, and you just wish that you could kind of go back and soak it in a bit more because it just quickly goes, and then before you know it we're on the bus back to Carlisle, and I think I'd organised a meal through a friend of mine that said if we won the playoff, we could have a free meal. So that we went to the Viceroy as a team and a staff that's the following night, and then we went into town. And then yeah, it was literally we had 4 weeks off, so we all had individual meetings that next day, and then it was right seeing 4 weeks time. So we didn't really. I'm not saying we didn't get a chance to celebrate, but just people say the playoffs is the best way to go up, but you only get the 4 weeks off and you don't get a trip away or anything. So with Bradford, with it being automatic, they paid for us a trip to go to Ibiza for 4 days, which was great and just something that you remember. And I'd not really had a chance to do that in my career. So, and then you get the bonus of having about 7 weeks off. So I remember my wife and daughter coming onto the pitch when we were getting our medals and I think one of the first things was 7 weeks off, 7 weeks. So yeah, but just great times and all good things to look back on. But yeah, you probably look back on it more now that you're not playing professionally. But and when you're in it, you're always looking at right. We've won at Wembley. Right now, League One or now Championship or now what's next? I want to prove myself in the next. It's always next training session.
Yeah.
Right, keep myself right in the off season for pre-season and etc. Really.
Back to that Leeds one, Paul, because it was such a big deal for Carlisle fans. 2-0, and then Dougie scores in the
Yeah,
199th
yeah,
minute or
at
whatever it was. Did
Leeds,
that
yeah.
was that when it changed that whole tie?
I don't know, because was that the game or was it the league game where Kieran Westwood was on fire? So it felt like we deserved something out of the first leg. I thought probably a point, like when Carlo went, I should say, 2-0 up, you thought "Oh, it's going to be a long kind of struggle." And then I remember um, Kieran Westwood just making save after save, first half, second half, thinking he's not going to score past this guy. And then I remember Gary Medine came on and was charging at me to close me down. And I was near the dugout and I've sort of chopped inside and he fell for the dummy and he's ran right past and I've just clipped it into the box. Trezor Candle, who was great in the air. I knew he'd win it. He's not knocked it down. It was a bit of a ricochet. And Dougie Friedman, who was great actually. He was great with me. A real good older head, like someone I looked up to. I learnt a lot off. He was such a clever player. You could tell he'd played higher levels. His runs were so intelligent and just offered advice and just little bits that I took from him in the sort of few months we had together. Um, and yeah, that probably gave us a lift going into the second game. And then maybe Carlisle thought they've got something to protect. I'm not quite sure. We scored again with Johnny Howson early, and that gave us a lift. And then can't really remember too much more about the rest of the game. And then obviously Johnny's popped up again with another great finish, and off to Wembley we went. Yeah, but yeah, in terms of it turning round, yeah, probably that late goal will have helped at Ellen Road, but yeah, probably felt over the piece. We probably deserved a point, or on chances, just that Westwood was having the game of his life. He was a good keeper.
That famous photograph, I will ask you about it, Paul. Has it sickened you over the years that it keeps coming up?
Uh, John Coleman asked me not long ago, but it's more just yeah, it's just you do daft things heat of the moment, and in the build up to the game, you're getting a bit of stick, and as I said earlier, you're 19, like people make mistakes, and you look back and you just cringe a bit now, and you just want to move on from it. So I think my mum and dad were a bit when I signed at Carlisle. I remember.
Yeah.
My dad texted me, so obviously we won at Wembley, and I think they never said at the time because initially when sort of the manager Paul Simpson and Gav Skelton were asking me that summer, having spent 10 years at Preston, I'd always played like it sounds a bit snobbish, but I'd always played League One, and I wanted to play as high as I could, so League One or above. And it wasn't really in my thoughts. And then the more time I spent at home with my young family, and that kind of changed my thinking. So I got back onto them, and then we just did it. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought I would have more excitement, more pride in coming back to play for my hometown than I would say, I don't know, an Oxford or a Morecambe in League One, or an old whoever was in League One. There was a few options. And I just thought, yeah, so I was buzzing to get it done. And I like my mum and dad didn't really say a lot of the time. I think they were probably a bit like, oh, not sure like how the reaction's going to be. But 95% was brilliant. Yes, we got the odd comment, but I mean, past's in the past. Yeah, you make mistakes, you learn from it. And any time I'd played against Carlisle since that, especially as I got older and matured a bit and grew up a lot. Never celebrated against Carlisle. Always just walked back to my position. Low key, just kept it, how it should have been really, and initially, and then we got promoted at Wembley. My mum and dad were going away on holiday that night, so they obviously didn't think we would make it. So they must have booked it months in advance. I thought, bloody hell, you didn't have much faith in us, did you? But anyway, they made the game and they drove straight after I saw them after the game up to Newcastle, and they were flying off on holiday. And my dad texted me that night, and he said, "I just wanted to say, again, it kind of makes me a bit emotional because going back to the messages after saying, me thanking them and thanking them for what they did for me when I was a younger player and giving me the best chance and best of everything, really." And he said something like, "Proud of you, son," which he wouldn't say a lot. So, like, it kind of meant a lot. We're so proud of you. We didn't say at the time, but something like, we weren't sure about you signing back here. We never said to you, but you've totally turned it around, and yeah, you've made it, so worthwhile, and they were so proud. So it was just, yeah, it just kind of, I remember reading the message that night, and obviously we're celebrating, so you're a bit like, but I remember kind of the hair standing up a little bit and just being a bit like, wow, like that kind of stopped me in my tracks a bit. And it was off my dad's phone, but it was obviously a message from my mum and my dad, and just saying that, you've totally turned it round, and proud of the person you now are, as well as like the football side of it, which kind of meant as much as the football, really, because I've always tried to be, as I said, since kind of then, grew up a lot and tried to be a good person as much as a team player and all about the team and just giving everything on and off the pitch wherever I've been. But yeah, to do it with my hometown club and a club that I grew up watching with my dad. I used to stand at the top of the tunnel, and he would like, you won't get away with it now, but he would sit me on the top, like on the halfway line on the paddock. So, and I was like, obviously doing the radio there the other week, sent a picture of my dad. Just obviously, you sit above it now. The radio's like on that side, so like just sent him a picture saying, "Remember that spot?" It's like there for years. Took me home. Like I was at all the home games. You're talking Mick Wadsworth, Mervyn Day, Michael Knighton, Steve Haywood, Dino Walling, Dean Walling, David Reeves, David Curry, people like this. Derek Mountfield, could go on, Warren Aspinall, just a couple of trips to Wembley or to windscreens and brilliant times. And sent my dad a picture just saying, remember that? Just like a full circle moment, really. But yeah, it was an amazing season and we had a real good togetherness. You'll know yourself, Andy, just the banter, the camaraderie, the team spirit, the togetherness was brilliant. And I felt as though that summer we lost that. Losing.
I was going to say what went wrong because it clearly dropped
Yeah.
off, didn't it?
Yeah, we lost too many of them players, and I think we would have actually done better with the League Two team that we had. I'm not saying we would have definitely stayed up, but we would have had a lot better chance. And if we'd have built on that, but the squad kind of got changed a lot, ripped up really, and replaced with um, and obviously the ownership hadn't changed, so we didn't have a great budget that first, say, half of the season. So we were probably I think we were sixth bottom. I remember the manager telling me I think we were fifth bottom or sixth bottom in League Two for budget when we went up. So
Yeah.
we totally overachieved, but and people would come up to me in the supermarket and say, "Oh, like I think we overachieved anyway." And I said, "No, like we didn't. I think Carlisle United's a League One good club. I don't think it should just be surviving in League One. I think everything is in place and always has been to be a good League One club. I don't think we should be thankful to be in that league. I just think that the people that they brought in, maybe down to the budget or a lot of loans, I don't think." The character or the personality checks were done in the background checks on them because I don't feel as though the same care, the same passion, the same togetherness, the same willing to give everything to the team was there as what we had. And the togetherness and the team spirit can take you a long way, especially in League One, League Two. Like you rely on that when you have to dig deep and you're away from home and hang in there. And then you get a point or you get 3 points and you go and celebrate with the fans. And we had that second year, that first year, sorry. And I think like you take it for granted when you're in it, but when you lose that, I think it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it did that second year.
All kinds of rumours, Paul, about fallouts with staff and players. Yourself at the
Yeah.
heart of some of these rumours. So is any
Mm.
of that true?
No, like there was no fallout. Like there was, I had so much respect for the manager, and he brought me to the club. I'd grown up watching him as manager and doing really well. And before he left and went to Preston, so there was a real respect for him. And it was never my place to question. Senior figures at the club. I tried to lead by example in what I did on the pitch, and I tried to help off it. We had numerous meetings that I was happy as captain to stand at the front of those meetings and kind of voice opinions or things we think as a group, not just me. I would voice other people's views and we would have a discussion, but it was just to try and help the position that we were in. It was never, to dig staff out or to dig players out. It was just to try and help the position that we were in at the time. But no, there was no fallout. I know my name and maybe Moxie, his name being local lads would get thrown into things. There was one where I remember I was going. It was Valentine's Day, and I hadn't played. I think we got beat off Cambridge, and my name got thrown in. I was on the train up to Edinburgh with my wife. We were having a night in Edinburgh, and I hadn't even played, and we were running after the game, and my name was getting bandied about because I hadn't ran after the game or something, or I'd refused to do running or something. Like I'd done the running. I was like. it maybe just being the local lad and thinking that there's been this sort of fallout, that it was always, me or Moxie or things get said. But you know what it's like people can talk and like they don't know what is actually going on. So maybe a rumour starts. But yeah, I had a few things that year that people would ask me about, whether it was fans or friends, and I'm like, no, I'm not sure where that's come from. So um, yeah, it was all fine. It was just difficult mentally. Like I'd accepted that I wasn't going to be there. I had a conversation with the manager at the back end of the season and said, look, it was always the plan to do 3 years, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. I would love to stay even as a squad player. If I'm going to play 20, 25 games, like I did at Bradford, really, 25 games, squad player, be off the bench, starting, whatever, you know, still be your captain off the pitch as much as on it. If I'm not playing, I'm not going to be knocking on your door. I'll just show you in training, like I'll just get on with it. If that would be something that you would be interested in. And I kind of got the impression from that conversation that wasn't going to be something that would happen. And then it was confirmed sort of end of the season. So that I was going to be leaving, which was disappointing, yeah, because I felt as though, especially in League Two, I could have helped. And it wasn't nice to see. I had quite a few Bradford fans asking me while I was there, oh, I bet you're glad that you left there. And I'm saying, well, no, not really, because, I follow the club. I still know a lot of people at the club. It was one of the first results I look out for. Got a lot of friends and people I care about that's still there. So no, it's not really nice to see um, what was happening last year. I think they maybe saw that things were going well at Bradford and not with Carlisle at the same time. But I didn't look at it like that. And then there was opportunities there was kind of opening and closing door moments, really, because when I was about to join or just joined Bradford or I was about to sign, then Carlisle asked for me to meet Mike Williamson. And I was like, it's too late now. I've already given word to Graham Alexander that I was signing until the end of January. So that was that. And then January it came back on with Clarkson, the director of football. When you out of contract, we would love you to come back. We need experience. We're obviously in a mess, whatever. And I said I would love to, but I've already given word and I'd already signed. I said my contract runs to the end of January, but I've already signed till the summer, which I appreciated because I got injured in a game against Port Vale. I think we beat Port Vale at Valley Parade on Boxing Day, and I picked up a niggle and I missed the next 3 or 4 games. One was against Carlisle away. And the manager pulled me in that very next day and he said, I just want you to know that we love everything that you've been doing on and off the pitch. We want you here. And I don't want you to be worrying about your contract because we want to extend it. We're going to be extending it. So I appreciated that. And he let me know that on the 27th of December. And I didn't sort of hear from Carlisle till back end of January. Well, it was already agreed. So, and then again in the summer, I was in Florida with my family and speaking to the club and thought, yeah, great. Obviously, Bradford invited me back, but if there was going to be something there that Carlisle that it was looking like, it got to a point where what would you like be looking for? And I kind of said, and it wasn't for the money. You'd have a lot more players on, a lot more money. It was just give me enough to kind of cover your bills, whatever you've got going on, your outgoings, and a good appearance maybe as a incentive. It wasn't a hard one to do, I wouldn't have thought. But then after a couple of weeks, I thought, right, I'm going back here, and sort of me and my wife were quite excited because my daughter was starting school, and I just thought, yeah, let's help get them out the National League and back into the Football League, and then I can kind of feel satisfied and go out on a high. And felt as though I showed last year, I think, because when I joined Bradford, a lot of fans were saying, oh, what we signing 37-year-old for? Or like what? And then by the time I left, they're all like, bloody good him. So must have done something right. So I still felt as though, yeah, especially League Two or National League, I could have done the job. But then something changed, whether that was changing in head of recruitment or director of football or what. And then it all sort of went quiet. And then And then never quite happened. Never quite came off. But no regrets. I kind of let them know that I would have been happy to do so. But that's football, and no fallouts. No, I think life's too short. Like I respect, everyone in football, and they're entitled to their own opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. But kind of you read the room as to adapting when you work with different managers, different players, different staff, and you know who would want you to kind of say your viewpoint. Like that first year, I remember we had at Carlisle, we had a leadership group, which and it's easy to do that when things are going well, but that didn't really carry on that much in the League One season. Maybe you could argue there wasn't that many
Not many leadership, was there?
There probably wasn't. Probably that's probably why it didn't carry on. But there was 4 or 5 of us in the first year, and maybe the start of the League One season when we were doing okay, we were maybe 16th, 17th, 18th, just head above water. First 10, 12 games, we carried it on, and then it didn't kind of carry on. So I think that probably should have been something that, but again, that's down to the characters and personalities and people that you bring in as well. So, which kind of shows that wasn't quite there. But yeah, so I've rambled on a little bit there, but no
That League One
fallouts, no
season, Paul.
fallout.
What was your opinion of yourself in that League One season when you were not injured, but you were out because you weren't
Yeah,
being selected? Did you think you could have done it?
yeah, I feel as though like when I came in the second half of the season, I'd been up for 1 or 2 games and then out. But yeah, I felt as though when I did play, I kind of showed that I could still do it. I remember coming in at Barnsley and playing really well. We lost, and it was another game we should have won. Missed loads of chances and somehow lost it. And then I think to a penalty I think it was penalty, very dubious. And then came in at Burton, we won, scored, stayed in the team, played the next game, lost 1-0 to Blackpool, but did okay, then came out. And I was probably like, in my contract, I was like 1 or 2 games short of hitting the amount needed to trigger another year. But like, as I said, that's football. No hard feelings. And yeah, that was me on my way. And as I said earlier, I knew I wasn't finished. So that's where Bradford sort of appealed, and big club for that league. I thought, are they going to be up the right and challenging? And I was sort of proven right in the end.
How tough was it to be in a dressing room that was mentally weaker and you could see relegation coming like a steam train?
Yeah, it was mentally hard, yeah. So and obviously maybe not that it was easier, but maybe it was less. I didn't feel towards the sort of back end of the season that as affected of say like Mel's. Mel's played every game, and I could see in his face and mentally he was real affected by it. And I was, but because I wasn't playing and physically going out there and coming in and feeling like most of the second half of the season, obviously I had spells where I played a couple of games, then came out, a couple of games came out, but because I wasn't playing that regularly, I didn't feel like totally um, not responsible, but I didn't feel as bad as some did that had played large parts. I know Sam Lavelle and Mel's played every game, so they just felt like you could see mentally they were struggling, but kind of kept playing and kept going. But yeah, it was hard to see because you'd come in and heads would just be low, confidence would be low. You'd see it on a Monday morning, whereas when things are going well, everyone's bouncing in, the banter's flying, and it's a good place to be when things are going well. But you get spells like that in football, and yeah, I would have liked to have helped more, but so be it. That's in the past now, and it's just good to see them doing well now, and hopefully they can. It's obviously tough that league with the one automatic space, and then it's playoffs. So, but they're going well, and even when they're not particularly playing well, they're getting the results, which is important.
Then I read in your newspaper interview with Colo, which really hit. It's like you've got these 522 games. You've got these years and years from being a boy to a grown man playing football, but
Yeah,
you've had 3 promotions, and it's like,
yeah,
well, that's how fleeting it is. That's how
yeah.
hard that career is.
Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Really could have been 4, 5, 6, 7, but just playoffs and whatnot. And yeah, you need a bit of luck along the way. And yeah, I always say like the harder you work and in the tough times, if you really dig in, I think you like Gary Player, wasn't it, the golfer? He always said the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I just think I kind of agree with that. I just think that yeah, 3 promotions probably should have had more, but. Grateful for them, and some people don't get to play at Wembley. Like I'm on about winning at Wembley. Some people don't even get to play at Wembley, um, and having played in each league from the Premier League to League Two and scoring and winning those promotions um, and yeah, meeting some real good people along the way. You kind of see now, you can probably just count on one hand or the people you actually regularly keep in touch with. Because when it's strange, because then you're at the club and you're seeing each other and you're talking to each other every day, and or pretty much every day, and then you move clubs and then you just lose that contact. It's really strange in that sense. You kind of see leaving clubs or finishing football who actually are the true friends, really, I guess.
Manager you've ever worked with?
Best manager in terms of like what all round or
All round and actually developing you.
I would have to the last bit there developing me, Alex Neil at Preston. He was probably the first coach manager that I've had that was real modern day approach. Really brought me on as a player, developed me into what I would call like a good championship player. We missed out on his first year, missed out on the playoffs by a point on the last day of the season to Derby, which was a bit gut wrenching because Derby, we missed a penalty and they had like a deflected free kick that went in, and that was the difference, like over the Easter period that we missed out by. So, but in terms of the man, like I can't remember which interview it was on now, but because I've done quite a few, but I've spoke about him as a man just I'll try not to ramble on too long, but I was 30 and I had a year left on my contract at Preston. I had Bristol City and QPR offering, well, telling me that they'll offer, or my agent, that they'll offer £1 million. And I felt sort of at my peak then, like I was captain at Preston and I'd had a really good first season. And like it was playing in my mind that I was out of contract and talks were stalling a bit at Preston. And I went in and saw the manager, or I said, I can't remember how the conversation came about, but I went into his office and he said, what's the problem? Like, what? Because I wasn't playing particularly great. You could tell something was on my mind. And he said, what's the problem? I said, it's the contract. It's hanging over me. I've got these teams like interfering and I want to be here, but it's unsettling. And he said, right, okay. So where are you at with the contract talks and where does it need to be? So he wrote it all down and he said, he passed me a bit of paper and he said, what kind of years wise and money wise? Where does it need to be? And I said, well, this and this. And he said, right. He said, leave it with me. So next day he pulled me after training. He said, come and see me once, just have a chat about what we spoke about yesterday. So he passed a bit of the paper over and he just had like a tick next to it and a tick next to the other bit. He was like, I've sorted it. Is that okay? And he offered his hand and I shook hands and I was like, wow, I've sold myself short there. I was like, bugger, I told my agent. He's like, what are you doing? You could have got more money. But he'd gone out of his way to speak to the chairman and said, I really need him. He's my captain. I value him. 3-year contract at 30. It was my best contract. And he'd gone out of his way and showed me that he had that kind of power and he valued me and it made me feel great. And then not even so much to do with the contract money side of it, but I remember we played Middlesbrough at home and I was at fault at Deepdale and I was at fault for the goal. Tavernier, who's now at Bournemouth, Marcus Tavernier, he's sort of done me for the goal and I've misread the bounce of the ball. It skidded off wet surface. I've just thought it might hold up a little bit and it skidded through and he's gone through and scored. And we've drawn the game 1-1. And we've gone in the changing room and I had like a family issue going on. And I remember walking in the changing room like, so unlike me really, but I was upset. And like you could see it in my eyes. And Alex Neil was like, obviously there's 20 odd lads and all the staff and everyone in there, drug testers, whatever. And he's like, get your head up, Hunts. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, you've more than saved us this season. Don't worry. And I couldn't lift my head because I was like, it was more, I felt as though I'd let the team down. And I know that can happen in football, but what I had going on off the pitch was really sort of affecting me. I remember studying after the game in the car park with my dad and being like really upset, and I couldn't even bring the words to sort of speak to him about it. So he texted me that night when I was driving back to Carlisle and said, "Are you okay? Like, just a little bit worried about you, and come and see me on Thursday morning before training." So I had a chat, just aired my problem, and it was such a weight off my shoulders because I told him the problem, and he said my sister's been going through exactly the same thing, like, and he totally understood, and we didn't even talk football. He just reassured me and said, "Don't worry about the other night. It's one goal. Like, you've been brilliant. Just and he really supported me, and I just thought that man management, as well as being tactically switched on, really had the respect of all the group. He's quite a young manager, but he's a real had a modern day approach, a top coach, but also top person. And I felt as though he went out of his way a few times with the contract, with my family issues, um, and really valued me as a person and a player. And I would always sort of say him, really, someone who I don't speak to regularly, but I think he's had an effect everywhere he's been. So he was at Hamilton, got them promoted into the SPL as I think he was 31 at the time. Went to Norwich, got them into the Premier League. Came to Preston, got us a couple of seasons, first two seasons, touching distance within the playoffs, which was well above the budget we had. Went to Sunderland, got them up. Didn't work at Stoke, but now he's got Millwall fourth in the Championship. So, it's not a coincidence. But as well as being a top coach, top manager, top person, so I'd have to say him.
Best player with and against?
Player with, play, player against, probably an easy one. The big name that stands out, Cristiano Ronaldo, just Man United, Premier League with Newcastle. He was a younger player there. It was probably just before he was a bit full of skills and not really the end product when I played against him. Later on that year and the following year, he really kicked on and started, putting finding his feet, hitting the back of the net. In terms of played with, probably James Milner, I'd say, like, probably so underrated. People just think he's a workhorse. Honestly, like, you see shooting at the end of training and the hardest worker in the room, like, but he was one of them. You could play darts and he'd be throwing 140, 180. You could play him at pool and he'd eight ball you. You'd play golf, he'd be playing off scratch. Like, he was just brilliant at everything. He was the fittest guy in pre-season. He'd do shooting at the end of training every time, side net, side net, side net. He rubbed off on me a lot. I was really close with him because when I got into the team, he was a year older, but obviously he came through at like 16 at Leeds, and he was often on my side. I got in the team as like a fullback through injuries, really, initially, and he was on my side, and he was a dream because he'd just double up and he'd be up the other end and he'd be up, down, and just really helped me. And even on days off, I'd be around his house. He'd have a games room and just brought me on as a person. And I took things from him, like his professionalism with the not drinking and the what you're putting in your body and advice. And he was so experienced for. I was 19, he'll have been 20. For his 20 years, he'd already had 4 years of playing in the Premier League. He was just so good for me and my development, and yeah, lent on him a lot. He's maybe not the biggest name, but probably the most underrated, I would say. Yeah, those two probably off the top of my head.
Last one from me, then I know Barbara's got a bit of a quirky question for you. Best friend, best friend in the game, and then why?
Best friend, probably have to say Brad Potts. You probably know him. We speak like every week. He's injured at the moment, so I'm trying to um, cheer him up a bit because he's been injured, which he's not really had everywhere he's been. He's played, and we're talking about me being 550 odd games. He's over 500, and he's nowhere near my age. So goes to show he's been a real consistent performer wherever he's been, and a great lad and someone that I speak to regularly. So I'd have to say him.
Bob?
Yeah, set pieces. You obviously always came up for corners.
Yeah.
Did you know you had a specific routine?
For at Carlisle, are we sort of talking, or
Well, I've seen it with you at Preston.
yeah?
It's something that you always had.
Yeah, at Preston, I mean, we would work on them more so at I remember more recently at Carlisle, Gav Skelton would take them on a Friday with Paul Gerrard. And I remember that League Two season, we had a real strong, I think we had most set plays scored. We had like me, Morgan, I know we had Mel's, he didn't, he didn't really get on the end of much, but from set plays. But Corey Whelan, Deno scored a few from Morgan Feeney. So we had like quite a few threats. And we kind of knew that Deno would always make that run past the front post, and it became more habit. But yeah, we prided ourselves on them set plays, and like I can't remember the stats, but they're pretty high for well, they used to be in League One and Two for the amount of goals scored that were first or second phases of like free kick set plays, like corners, free kicks, throw-ins. So it was a large percentage of the goals scored. So I think it was always important to like pay attention, when you're working on them, because they can pay off at both ends of the pitch, really.
Well, I'm obviously sitting on the byline thinking, right, where's the ball going to go? And I lost you.
Yeah.
This was when you first, I thought, where is every time you came up, you bent down and pulled your socks up.
Yeah, that'd be a super stick. Well, no, it
I
became
wondered if
habit,
it was.
just habit. It
Yeah.
became like a thing at Preston as well. A lot of fans would pull me up on it and be like, adjust your shin pads, pull your socks up, like every break and play, and then maybe like wipe your shirt like on your brow or something like that. I don't know. It's maybe like a tennis player, like they've got like, I don't know how many, and then they go, and before they serve, it's like probably just something like that. Maybe a bit of a tick, I guess, just that you don't even think that you're doing, but it probably looks stupid, yeah.
Well, I wondered if it was trying to make yourself not look as tall.
Sometimes I would kind of try and, like you're trying to pretending you're doing your socks and maybe duck under arms and like people trying to jostle with you. And I'd try and like duck like almost like a boxer kind of thing, just on set plays and try and free yourself up, because now you just sort of get wrapped up with, if you get involved in a bit of a wrestle, like it becomes really difficult to get on the end of a set play. So you need to try and free yourself up as best as possible. But now in the more modern day, they have blockers now. So they have guys in a line across the 6 yard box where they'll be like 3 and 4 just ready to free to go and head the ball, and then they'll have 3 and 4 in front of them just trying to grab you. So you're trying to just get yourself free from these blockers, but you've also got to beat the free men. So it does become like, if they do it properly, it is quite hard to get on the end of set pieces more recently anyway.
Since you've been absolutely magnificent, we've kept you way too long.
Yes, no, that's probably me rambling answers.
No, it's not.
But
I mean,
that's what we said earlier, didn't we? Rambling.
Yeah.
You've got a ramble, haven't you?
I'll be honest, there's so much more that we could dig into, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we will at some point in the future.
Yeah. Just let me know. Happy to help.
Yeah,
I mean,
when the academy gets trucking along, we can find out how it's going. So
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Absolutely. I mean, the London branch is a fairly small organisation, but we punch way above our weight because people at the club or associated with the club, like yourself, take us seriously.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us.
yeah, thank you.
Well, I was just gonna say on that, like every time, like I said on a podcast last week, that every time we played in London, like especially that League Two season that we got promoted, it was great to see. Like we'd go to Leyton Orient away and sell out. It was like amazing. It'd give you a buzz before the game. You're warming up, knowing that you're being well backed, and the manager would always say at half time, you know, let's really bring this home, kicking towards or near our fans, so we can picture it, get that picture in your head of walking over to our fans as a team. You know, we've got the 3 points in the bag. You know, we're going over to thank them. He often said that at half time, and that maybe because I was a local lad, maybe meant a bit more, like the likes of myself, Taylor Charters, Jack Ellis, Owen Moxon. I don't know whether he was playing on that, but it certainly worked as a motivating factor. And yeah, the support home and away for Carlisle was always brilliant, and the London branch were a big part of that. So yeah, thanks to them.
Tell you what, that should be the last question because you've just jogged my memory there about something that the three of us talked about the other night. All of those Cumbrians together in that
Yeah.
team. How special is that?
Yeah, well, I didn't really know about it. I remember travelling on the morning to Tranmere away, and Gav Skelton came up to me on the bus and said it's the first time I think 4 Cumbrians have been in the starting lineup. So it was myself, Owen Moxon, Taylor Charters, and Jack Ellis, and we won the game. And I remember just gathering them in. I don't know if it was Barbara actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's brilliant because I've got it. Have I got it? Let me just grab the mug. I've got a mug.
Brilliant.
Oh no, it's not. It's not quite that one. It's the Wembley one. So can you see that?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Made in Cumbria, and then on the back it's got Weekend in Paradise because that was our song, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's my coffee mug. But it's similar. It's similar to the
Yeah.
Tranmere one.
I wasn't sure what you were doing when you brought these. I thought, what's he doing with these?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it
So
dawned on me
I just
what
remembered
it was.
what Gav had said, and I thought it'd be a good one to keep that. And like, I've got it on my website actually, for the academy, and I've got like a quote below it, and I just thought that was very like apt, really, for local talent and just coming through, and it sends a good message to the next generation of like, it's good that Jack Ellis has just signed a contract and Gabe's playing, and you want to see more of those coming through, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
That's London branch sponsored Jack Ellis, we should say. So.
Yes,
Is that
indeed.
this season?
Wow.
Is that this
Yeah.
season? Oh, that's good.
Carlisle
That's
now.
good.
Yeah,
That's a
wow.
good plug then, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
plug them. So good. Very good.
Paul, you've been wonderful. We can't thank you enough. I know this will go down well, so thank you
Cheers.
for giving the London
Yeah,
branch
thank
your time today.
No, that's great. Anytime. Happy to help. Nice to meet you.
And
Anyway,
you, Paul.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.